Jai Vishnu Pad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Bitam Sya Om Agyana Timaran Dasha Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurun Milidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gorva Bishtam Supurakam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Abhidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwa Gurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanum Suchanda Varanam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyambudim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyasishwara Shidaram Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Vidito Gaudiya Gauravanvaye Bhato Banoriva Prabhata Gagane Yogora Sankirtanai Mayavara Timingilo Dergatanu Dritya Jivaniman Krishna Prema Sudabdigahana Sukam Pradat Prabhum Tambaje Namo Gorakishoraya Bhaktabaduta Murtaye Gorangri Padma Bringaya Radha Pavani Shevine Vande Bhakti Vinodam Shri Gora Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Shastragya Samrajam Radha Rasa Sudanidim Goravrja Shrita Sheshar Vaishnavar Vanja Vigraham Jagannatha Prabhum Bande Premabdim Breda Vaishnavam Banshakopatarubyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavenebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur with translations by Sarva Bhavana Das, and this is Antya-lila chapter 10, Sri Pundarika Vidyanidhi pastimes. All glory to the Supreme Lord Sri Gaurachandra, who is marked with the son of Srivats. All glory to the embodiment of the eternal religion of all souls, Sri Gaurahari, for he is a crest jewel manifesting from the ocean bed of the womb of Sri Sachi Mata. All glory to you, O Gaur Gopal, for you are always attracted to and propagate the congregational chanting of the Lord's holy name. You are the protector of your beloved devotees and death personified for the evil wrongdoers. All victory to Sri Gauranga with all his followers. Simply by hearing the pastimes of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, one develops bhakti, pure devotion. Enacting the role of a sannyasi, the supreme hero of Vaikuntha enjoyed the company of his devotees. One day, the Supreme Lord, Sri Gaurahari, was sitting contentedly with Sri Advaita Acharya. One day, the Supreme Lord, Sri Gaurahari, was sitting contentedly when Sri Advaita Acharya came, offered obeisances, and sat down. The Lord smiled and inquired of Sri Advaita, "Where are you coming from, and what work have you been doing?" Sri Advaita replied, "I took darshan of Lord Jagannath, and now I have come to see you." The Lord insisted, "Yes, but after having darshan of Lord Jagannath, what did you do?" Sri Advaita replied, "First I had darshan of Lord Jagannath, and then I circumambulated him several times." When the Lord heard pradakshina, circumambulation, he smiled and said, "You have been defeated." Surprised, Sri Advaita inquired, "In what matter have I lost? First tell me, and then you can claim to have won." The Lord replied, "Very well, then hear how you have lost. You circumambulated Lord Jagannath, so each time you were behind the deities, you could not have darshan of the sweet smiling face of the Lord. When I take darshan of the Lord, the entire time my eyes never leave the transcendental face of Lord Jagannath, whether I stand on the left side or the right side." whereas each time you go behind, his radiant face is lost to your vision. Sri Advaita then admitted with folded palms, "Truly, I have been completely defeated by you. Other than you, no one in the three worlds understands the significance of what you have said. I have lost to your transcendental reasoning." The entire assembly of Vaishnavas were joyful by hearing such a transcendental topic in exchange. They jubilantly chanted the holy name aloud. Sri Gaurahari was constantly finding ways to convert everyday experiences into a point of instruction for his disciples. Moreover, in his dealings with everyone, especially Sri Advaita, he was always very affectionate. One day, Srila Gadadhar Pandit revealed to the Lord his reasoning for wanting reinitiation. He said, "I have revealed my Ishta mantra, the mantra of one's worshipable deity, that I received from my guru to an undeserving person, and since then my mind is disturbed. My Lord, you kindly reinitiate me with the same Ishta mantra. Then my mind will become jubilant again." The Lord replied, "Be very careful that you do not commit any offenses to your guru, the one who instructed you on the Ishta mantra. As long as your mantra guru is present, you cannot go elsewhere or even come to me. That would jeopardize the spiritual life of both you and me." Sri Gadadhar continued, "However, at present, he is not here, so instead, you kindly do the needful." The Lord replied, "Your guru is Sri Pundarika Vidyanidhi. Providence will arrange that you meet him. The omniscient supreme Godhead, the crest jewel of all the wisest mystics, knows everything past, present, and future." He said, Sri Vidyanidhi is soon to come here to Sri Jagannath Puri. In about 10 days he will arrive just to see me. For the past few days I've been thinking often about Sri Vidyanidhi, and now I know that you also, Gadadhar, have been pulling him here like a magnet. The Supreme Lord Sri Gaurasundar spent most of his time with Srila Gadadhar listening to his readings from the Srimad Bhagavatam. While listening, the Lord manifested the ecstatic spiritual transformations of Prema Bhava. The Lord heard the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj many hundreds of times, but every time he would hear it with completely rapt attention. All other activities were relinquished in order to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam and discuss the holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. The Lord heard the Srimad Bhagavatam from Srila Gadadhar alone. Similarly, he heard Krishna Guna Kirtan from the mouth of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, who sang as the Lord danced in a state of ecstatic spiritual trance. The physical transformations of prema, such as weeping, quivering, laughter, swooning, horripilation, etc., appeared on his transcendental body. All these ecstatic symptoms are eternally present in the Lord, and when Srila Swarup Damodar sang aloud the qualities of Sri Krishna, the Lord became oblivious of the external world and danced with full attention. Srila Damodar Swarup was the foremost amongst the Lord's eternal associates and sannyasis. The Lord favored him as much as he loved Srila Paramananda Puri. The singing of Srila Damodar Swarup Goswami was saturated with Bhakti Ras, the nectar of devotion, and the Lord could never withhold himself from dancing each time Swarup Damodar sang kirtan. However, Srila Swarup Damodar was extremely unassuming, and he went about his business quietly, making sure he was undetected. In kirtan, he was like Sri Narad with his Veena Tambura, and none other than the Supreme Lord danced to his tune. Thus, amongst all beloved sannyasis of the Lord, none were so favored as were Srila Swarup Damodar and Srila Paramananda Puri. Both remained always close by the side of the Lord. When the Lord entered the sannyas order, they were They were by his side, and these sannyasis were like the two arms of the Lord. Srila Swarup Damodar stayed by his side in Puri, whilst the Lord became increasingly deeply absorbed in kirtan day and night. Whether on pilgrimage, honoring prasadam, or traveling, the Lord made sure that Srila Swarup Damodar was by his side at all times. Before taking sannyas, Srila Swarup was known as Sri Purushottama Bhattacharya, and Srila Pundarika Vidyanidhi was his very dear friend and companion. Even while walking, if the Lord heard the kirtan of Srila Swarup, he would be unable to check himself from dancing and would lose his way. Anywhere and everywhere, Srila Swarup's kirtan would immediately put the Lord into ecstatic trance. And in great jubilation, the Lord would roar like a lion, fall down like a stick, and Srila Swarup Damodar would be instantly by his side, saving him from falling. Who is able to describe the immense good fortune of Srila Swarup? One day, the Lord, in one of his ecstatic trances, fell into a well. One day the Lord, in one of his ecstatic trances, fell into a well. The devotees were shocked and began to wail loudly while Srila Advaita knelt down holding his head. However, the Lord was not in the slightest aware of what had happened, and like a small child, he floated upon the water, still deep in trance. However, the water in the well was being touched by the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. However, the water in the well, upon being touched by the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord, turned into fresh buttercream, and his body had not so much as received a scratch. The kirtan of Srila Swarup generated such mystic potency that when the Vaishnavas danced, they never felt any thorny bushes piercing their skins. Quickly, Sri Advaita and others lifted the Lord out of the well, but the Lord was still unaware of what had transpired and kept asking, "What happened? What happened?" He was so steeped in Bhakti Ras that he was still oblivious to his surroundings. He inquired from everyone, unmindful of what had occurred. Hearing these nectarine words from the graceful lotus mouth of the Lord, Advaita and the devotees floated in bliss. All the devotees became relieved and extremely joyous that their beloved Lord was unhurt. The Supreme Lord performed endless wonderful pastimes, always steeped in the nectar of bhakti, pure devotion. When Srila Pundarika Vidyanidhi arrived in Puri, the Lord immediately knew, and soon, by the desire of the Lord, Srila Vidyanidhi was drawn to the place where the Lord was awaiting his arrival. Seeing Srila Vidyanidhi, the Lord became overjoyed and said aloud, "Here comes my father has come." Srila Vidyanidhi was in ecstasy, his heart flooded with the ambrosia of bhakti, and he became a Premanidhi, an ocean of prema. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Gaur Narayan, and the affectionate guardian of his devotees, Bhakta Vatsala. He firmly embraced Vidyanidhi, the ocean of prema ras, and wept profusely in jubilation. All the devotees also began to weep tears of joy. The scene was directly from Vaikuntha. The association of Srila Vidyanidhi augmented the ecstasy of the devotees at every moment. A friend and companion of Srila Vidyanidhi from his earlier days was Srila Swarup Damodar, and they met once more in the presence of the Lord. Each desiring to take the foot dust from the other, they jostled, pushed, and threw each other down upon the floor, both wanting to be the first to touch the feet of the other. However, being equally matched, neither could overpower the other. All the while, the devotees and the Supreme Lord Sri Gaurasundar were enjoying this transcendental competition with joyful laughter. After a while, when they settled down, the Lord said to Srila Vidyanidhi, Stay with us here in Nilachala for a while. Stay with us here in Nilachala for a while. Hearing the Lord's words, Srila Vidyanidhi became euphoric, considering his greatest fortune to be near the Lord. Srila Gadadhar Pandit availed of this opportunity and was reinitiated in his Ishta mantra from his guru, Srila Vidyanidhi. There is no end to the glories of Srila Vidyanidhi, yet foremost is that he was the guru of Srila Gadadhar, a disciple who reached limitless prema. Srila Advaita and Srila Srivas Thakur were always eager to expand the greatness of Sri Vidyanidhi, and in this endeavor they were joined by wonderful devotional stalwarts like Srila Murari Gupta and Srila Haridas Thakur. In fact, all the Vaishnavas were full of praise for the character and spotless purity of Sri Vidyanidhi. Similarly, Srila Vidyanidhi was also extremely fond of all the devotees, and he loved them with all his heart, mind, and words. He was completely devoid of any pride or false ego. Truly, it is impossible to understand the degree of divine grace he received from Sri Chaitanya and from the Supreme Lover, Sri Krishna. Having heard the facts and stories directly from the lips of Sri Gadadhar, I will try to describe a little about how dear Pundarik Vidyanidhi was to Sri Krishna. The Supreme Lord Sri Gaurasundar kept Srila Vidyanidhi near him and arranged a residence for him in Yameshwar next to the ocean. During his stay in Nilachala, he always went with his bosom friend Srila Swarup Damodar for regular darshan of Lord Jagannath. At other times they were absorbed in discussing esoteric topics on the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Soon the time for the festival of Odan Shashti of Lord Jagannath arrived. On this occasion, by the desire of Lord Jagannath, his servants dressed him in new starched clothes. Sri Gaurasundar, accompanied by all his devotees, came to see Lord Jagannath on Odan Shashti. Musical bands with numerous instruments, mridangas, conch shells, bells, etc., echoed all around, and the entire town wore a festive look. Their lordships wore many different sets of clothes that day, and the festival would last until the Makara Sankranti in mid-January. Sri Gaurasundar and the Vaishnavas stayed late into the night, gripped in waves of ecstasy, seeing Sri Jagannath's many changes of dress. The Supreme Lord as the worshipper, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, worshipped himself in his deity form, Lord Jagannath. Unless the Lord blesses one cannot fathom this divine esoteric mystery which was now being played out. Upon the altar, the Supreme Lord Sri Jagannath in his wooden deity form sat in yoga asana, while he, as the crest jewel of all sannyasis, steeped in the mellows of bhakti yoga, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came for his own darshan. On the occasion of the Odan Shashti festival, the deities are colorfully dressed in the finest of silks and with beautiful golden jewelry inlaid with precious gems. Garlands, bracelets, and earrings, all made from fragrant seasonal flowers, further bedeck their lordships. Scented oils, incense, flowers, ghee lamps, and the 16 different items for special worship are offered to Lord Jagannath. Grand and opulent offerings of prasadam are also made continuously. Sri Gaurahari observed these festivities with his devotees, and then, feeling great joy and satisfaction, returned home. Bidding farewell to all the Vaishnavas, the Lord sought the calm of solitude. After everyone had left, Srila Swarup Damodar and Srila Vidyanidhi remained together, and they talked very intimately, revealing their hearts and minds to each other. Srila Vidyanidhi had doubts regarding the starched dresses that Jagannath was wearing, and he asked Srila Swarup, Why do they dress the Lord in starched clothes without first washing them? Here in this land, the people are so conscious about scriptural rules, yet in the scriptures, are not starched clothes considered unclean? Srila Swarup replied, here no one faults this practice since it is considered a part of their religious tradition. Those who strictly follow the scriptural rules may not completely agree with this, but this tradition is an integral part of the festivities. Besides, if the Lord did not wish it, surely the king would have prohibited this part of the ritual. Srila Vidyanidhi continued, if the Lord desires it, then all is well. However, what the Lord does is certainly not to be imitated by his servitors. The priest and other Brahmins should not even touch contaminated clothes. Sri Jagannath is the Supreme Godhead. Everything is possible for him, but not for others. One must wash his clothes after touching starched clothes, otherwise one is unclean. This is common sense, and the king himself is ignorant if he does not understand this point. Unfortunately, however, even the king ties a starched cloth around his head. Srila Swarup replied, my dear brother, all these things are not considered transgressions, since they are a part of the Odana Shashti festival. Besides, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Jagannath himself, does not pass judgment on the merit or demerit of this practice. Srila Vidyanidhi insisted, my dear brother, hear me out. Lord Jagannath is indeed transcendental and the Supreme Godhead. Hence no rules apply to him. Well, what about his servitors? Have they become incarnations of the Supreme Brahman due to living in the Nilachala and can therefore deviate from scriptural norms? Talking and debating in this manner, these two intimate friends were enjoying and laughing together as they walked, sometimes holding hands or sometimes putting their arm over each other's shoulders in a carefree manner. Srila Vidyanidhi did not spare even the servitors of Lord Jagannath for what he considered their negligence in serving the Lord. Not everyone can understand the feelings of the heart of the servitors of the Lord. Only Krishna knows the extent of one's attachment to him. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna first puts his devotee into illusion for a specific purpose, and then he himself dispels the illusion out of compassion. Thus the Lord put Srila Vidyanidhi into illusion about his servitors. The two of them parted ways and returned to their individual residences to perform their devotional practices. They honored Prasadam, then came to the residence of Sri Chaitanya and lay down to rest. The Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya knew everything about Srila Vidyanidhi's views on the starched clothes. Therefore, he took the form of Sri Jagannath, and together with Balaram, he appeared in the dream of Srila Vidyanidhi. In his dream, Srila Vidyanidhi saw that both Jagannath and Balaram were extremely angry as they began to slap him hard on his cheeks. Red welts appeared on his flushed cheeks, and in pain and anguish he threw himself at the feet of the Lord and cried out, O Krishna, save me. Kindly forgive my offenses. O Lord, for what offense am I being punished? The Lord replied, there is no end to your offenses. Just like me, my servitors do not belong to any caste. And knowing all this, you have taken up residence here, but if you at all wish to engage in splitting hairs about rituals and proper practices, you had better return to your previous place and do so there. I have fixed all the customs to be followed in these festivals, and now you have criticized my servitors and these performances by finding fault with my dressing in starched clothes. Srila Vidyanidhi became extremely fearful in his dream and weeping bitterly, he placed his head on the lotus feet of the Lord and said, kindly forgive all the offenses of this most sinful wretch. I fully accept my heinous faults. I promise you, my face, the face of your servitor, which had smiled derisively at these performances, has been beaten. I have been punished by your own transcendental hand. Surely, that is my great fortune, my Lord. The Supreme Lord replied, since you are my devotee, I wanted to shower my blessings and compassion upon you, and so I have punished you. Their lordships, Jagannath and Balaram, then graced Srila Vidyanidhi in his dream with their merciful glance and returned to their abode. Srila Vidyanidhi woke up from the dream and began to laugh. Feeling the welts upon his cheeks, he said, this is wonderful. I was offensive and got punished. The Lord slapped me with his transcendental hand. I was lucky to get away with so little. Just to observe the glory and greatness of Srila Vidyanidhi, who is a perfect example of the limitless compassion of the Lord upon his devotees. The Supreme Lord does not take to task even his own son, Pradyumna, or even his wives, Satyabhama, Rukmini, Janaki, Sita, his other personal associates, or even the host of demigods and demigoddesses in this way. Yet the Supreme Lord personally chastised and slapped Sri Vidyanidhi in his dream for his offense. This act is the first of its kind, for it is not often that the Lord will directly appear before someone in a dream and mercifully punish him for an offense. When the Supreme Lord personally chastises someone in his dream, then it is a real event, and such a devotee is most fortunate. When such a devotee awakes, his offenses are no more, and he attains all the transcendental benefits. Such an individual is extremely fortunate because the Lord never chastises non-devotees. The Lord never chastises non-devotees even in their dreams. All these scriptural conclusions are to be pondered upon. The Yavanas, meat eaters, are constantly criticizing and are belligerent towards the Vaishnavas. They are yearning for some spiritual realizations and happiness, but this is most elusive for them, even in their dreams. What to speak of the Yavanas? Even Brahmins and cultured persons suffer severely the consequences of their offenses. Yet the Supreme Lord never instructs such offenders and reprobates in their dreams. The truly fortunate are censured personally by the Lord, and this action of the Lord they consider their greatest fortune. The next morning when Srila Pundarika woke up from sleep, his cheeks were ruddy and puffed up from the hands of the Lord slapping him while he slept. The mercy he had received from the Supreme Lord was there for all to see. Srila Swarup Damodar usually came every morning to accompany Srila Vidyanidhi to the temple to take darshan of Lord Jagannath. When Srila Swarup came that morning, he said to Srila Vidyanidhi, every morning you accompany me to take darshan, but this morning you are late. Srila Vidyanidhi replied, my dear brother, come inside, sit down, and I'll tell you everything that has transpired. Upon coming closer, Srila Swarup saw that the face of his friend was all swollen up with red welts streaked across his cheeks. Surprised, he inquired, what has happened? Your cheeks are red and swollen. Have you hurt yourself? Srila Vidyanidhi gave a short laugh and said, remember, I was expressing serious doubts and reservations regarding Lord Jagannath being dressed in starched clothes. Well, I have been taught my lesson. Last night, Jagannath and Balaram appeared in my dream and began to slap me, saying, you have the audacity to criticize my dress? They left their finger marks on my cheeks, so I feel very ashamed I cannot meet anyone. Therefore, once the swelling goes away, I can once again go out into public. I cannot speak so openly to others about this, but in my heart I feel greatly blessed. I have received an inappropriate measure the consequences of my offense. Otherwise, who knows, I might have descended to the darkest hell. Srila Swarup looked at his friend with great affection and experienced transcendental joy. A friend feels immense happiness at the good fortune of his friend. Therefore, the two friends broke out into peals of laughter, unable to contain their jubilation. Srila Swarup said, my dear brother, I must admit, I've never seen the likes of such a punishment. The Lord personally comes to you in your dream and then chastises you. This is extraordinary. I've never before heard of such an event, but now I see it with my own eyes. They floated on waves of ecstasy, swimming in the ocean of Krishna Katha. Day and night they relish Krishna Katha. Such was the spiritual aura of Srila Pundarika Vidyanidhi that even the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya, addressed him as father. He would never bathe in the Ganga lest his feet touched her waters, yet he derived immense spiritual pleasure simply by having her darshan and sipping her sacred water. Sri Chaitanya received great joy by calling him father. One who hears about the character of Srila Pundarika Vidyanidhi will surely be rewarded with the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. I, Vrindaban Das, offer this song at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who are my life and soul. Thus ends Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat. I'll sing Hari Haraya. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama
Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama
Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
Govinda Ram Madhusudan
Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan
Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra
Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra
Janardan Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Echai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jahoite Vignana Shabishta Puran Echai Gosai Jarmui Taradas Pasabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras Pader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame Janame More Abilas Echai Gosai Jave Braje Koilamas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Vaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyash Hare Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamuda Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyash Hare Nam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamuda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtadhara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtadhara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtadhara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath. Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Se Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi. Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Bhagawat Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Kusha Mashra Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindaban Dham Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Shri Purushottam Madam Ki Jai. Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Jo Ki Jai. Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya. Shri Nrsingadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabhara Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
Jai Om Vishnu Pad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.